معلش. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Chapter 33 is very similar to chapter number 35. We read chapter 33. Karaha aw bab al-nahy an al-mas'ala is prohibited to beg. Then chapter 35 says, Babu karahat al-mas'alati lin-nas. It is disliked to beg from people. What is the purpose of these two chapters? Are they redundant? Or is there a fine subtlety between the two? Is there a difference between an-nahi and karaha? Prohibition is forbidden, and karaha, something being makruh, something being hated, disliked. طيب, what's meant by that? It says, hadith number 617, حديث عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله عنهما قال قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ما يزال الرجل يسأل الناس حتى يأتي يوم القيامة ليس في وجهه مزعة لحم. حديث أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لأن يحتطب أحدكم حزمة على ظهره خير من أن يسأل أحدا فيعطيه أو يمنعه. It's narrated by Abdullah bin Umar. May Allah be pleased with them both. The Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, a man keeps on asking others for something till he comes on the day of resurrection having no flesh on his face. Hadith 618 is narrated by Abu Hurairah. Allah be pleased with him. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings of upon him, said, one would rather cut and carry a bundle of wood on his back than ask somebody who may or may not give him. Who may or who may not give him. These two hadiths here, we see, prove that begging and asking is either haram, disliked, unnecessary. There is no major difference between this chapter and chapter 33, outwardly. And that's because the nahi can prove that a thing is haram, muharram, mamnu', mahdhur, or the nahi, the prohibition in the Quran or the Sunnah, can prove that a thing is makruh. In some instances, it can prove that a thing tarkuhu awla. It's okay to do, but it's best not to do. طيب, it's a very long discussion with regards to these principles of usul al-fiqh. When an ayah says do not do, a hadith says do not do, is it haram to do, or is it just disliked to do? You understand this? Is it haram, or is it disliked? Drinking with the right hand, drinking with the left hand. Is it mandatory to drink with the right hand, or just recommended? Is it haram to drink with the left hand, or just makruh? The Prophet prohibits that. Do not drink, do not eat, do not take, do not give. So it's a very long issue of mas'alat al-usul. And off of that one principle by itself is 100 different issues of khilaf. Between the Jumhur and Abu Hanifa. Between the Jumhur and Malik. Between the Jumhur and Ibn Hazm. Between that which is quoted as al-ijma', consensus, and Shawkani, as-San'ani, Shaykh al-Albani, etc. The concept of, they say that is a nahi, wal asul fi nahi at-tahrim. The thing is prohibited, so it's haram until only proven to be disliked. Wa laysa hunaka sarif, and there's no sarif, there's no other verse, no hadith, there's no consensus stating that it's only makruh. And oftentimes, as we've explained over the years, we've been teaching this book and other books, there's a great deal of contradiction in the different fiqh madhabs, in which they say these are the conditions of the prayer. Shurut as-salah, shurut. And the proof that they use is a hadith that doesn't speak on the prayer being valid or invalid. It's only a command to do it. That would basically prove that a thing is obligatory and not a shart. And then there's another issue, hadith that's authentic. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, do this. And they say, it's not from the shurut of the salah. It's only wajib. Or some of them say it's not even wajib, it's just mustahab. And the same applies to the nahi, the prohibition. That's the amr, the nahi. The hadith forbids us from doing a thing. And most of the scholars, or one madhab, or 3 out of 4, or someone claims that all of them say this is only makruh, it's not haram. Because min bab al-adab, etc. So one says, bab al-nahi an al-mas'ala, and says, karahat al-mas'alati lin-nas. So there's no big difference outwardly between the two chapter headings. Everyone understand this? And this is a brief discussion of this extremely important issue of usul al-fiqh, that every student of knowledge should have a strong foundation therein. Of usul al-fiqh, what's the amr, what's the nahi, how to deal with them when you read the Quran and the Sunnah and the books of fiqh. And the layman Muslim as well. Tayyib, moving forward. So these two hadiths, one is narrated by Abdullah ibn Umar, and one is narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and they both prove the same thing. They both prove the same thing, is that begging is something which should not be done, either haram or disliked. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says about it, قوله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا تزال المسألة بأحدكم حتى يلقى الله وليس في وجهه مزعة لحم بالضم الميم واسكان الزاي أي قطعة. قال القاضي قيل معناه يأتي يوم القيامة ذليلا ساقطا لا وجه له عند الله، وقيل هو على ظاهره فيحشر وجهه عظم لا لحم عليه عقوبة له وعلامة له بذنبه حين طلب وسأل بوجهه، كما جاءت الأحاديث الأخر بالعقوبات في الأعضاء التي كانت بها المعاصي. وهذا في من سأل لغير ضرورة سؤالا منهيا عنه وأكثر منه، كما في الرواية الأخرى من سأل تكثيرا والله أعلم. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says that this word muz'ah with a dhamma vowel sound, muz'ah is qit'ah. It's the synonym for it. Muz'ah yani qit'ah, a lump of flesh, a chunk of flesh, a piece of flesh. Qila, and they say, it has been said, meaning the previous commentators, ash-shurrah, those who came before Muslim and explained Sahih Muslim, and explained Sahih Bukhari, and explained Muwatta Malik, and in the Lughat al-Arabiyyah, they say, some of them say, that on the day of judgment, he will come dhalilan, in humiliation, saqitan, having no worth, la wajha lahu, having no wedge with Allah, meaning he has no prestige, no status with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On the day of judgment, he'll be humiliated, he'll be base and low because of him being a constant and habitual beggar, begging people for money. Everyone understand this? No, he says, waqila, and others say, other shurah, they say, rather it is literal. Ala dhahirihi. It's literal. On the day of judgment, he'll be resurrected, he'll just have a skull. No flesh, no skin, nothing on his face, just a unsightly, deathful what? Skull. That's how he'll be resurrected. And this will be a punishment for him and a sign of his guilt. A sign that he's guilty, he's mudhnib, he's made sin. And that is by him asking and begging. As there are other hadith that talk about certain body parts, certain bones, certain organs having punishment in them. This one is going to be like this with his hands, his eyes, his feet, his private area, etc. And this, he says, is this hadith, it pertains to those who ask without necessity, as we've explained that already. If it's a necessity, then it's not haram. Or those who ask something which is prohibited, or those who are just greedy. The difference between Abdul Qawi, I need some help, and Abdul Qawi, I want you to buy me a new 50-inch iPhone laptop. Everyone understand this? Or computer. Not saying that that's not a what? Necessity. Everyone understand the point I'm trying to get to? Takthir. You're just being greedy and asking and begging for too much. And of course, this also applies to masjids. This also applies to what? To masjids, asking for too much. something that's beyond that which is necessary and mandatory. طيب, as it's mentioned in the other ahadith. This issue here, like many, many other issues in this book and other books, you see the effect of the kalam and of that theology upon even the issues of ghaib. Is that it can't be literal. It means this and it means that, and it's only figurative. That's why he said qila wa qila. Everyone understand this? And that shows you, as the scholars of Islam say, is that these different innovations and these different imported systems of thinking that came from the non-Muslims and came from the people who had doubt about Allah, it had an effect even on the Arabic language. Even on the Arabic language. In which the asl of the text is what? Warped figurative. The Prophet ﷺ says no flesh in his face. We say it means he's humiliated and he's such and such and such. Is the Arabic language a wide language? No question. There's no doubt about that. Can it not mean that is a person will be humiliated? Is it going to be honor for him to have no flesh in his face? Of course not. But that's not the what? Something the Prophet ﷺ said. And the Prophet ﷺ could have said this and he could have said that. All right, that's a long discussion. But you see the point I'm trying to get to. Moving forward. Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he then says here, قوله صلى الله عليه وسلم لأن يغدو أحدكم فيحطب على ظهره إلى آخره. قال طيب خيرا. That's the same thing. The concept of working instead of asking whether they give it to you or not. That second hadith, it goes on to prove and it goes on to show. It says, من أن يسأل أحدا فيعطيه أو يمنعه. The person gives it to him or not. It goes on to show that whether people give you the money or not does not change the ruling. I know that the person is going to give me the money. He's not going to be annoyed. He's not bothered. That doesn't necessarily what? Change the ruling. Everyone understand that? Khairan inshallah. And this hadith 618, shows us and proves us the superiority and the virtue of working. And that a Muslim is not to be someone who doesn't work. Whether you go out the house, whether you work inside the house, some type of amal. And the Muslim is not just to be void without any type of what? Hard work as well. Hard work. All right? Take the axe, cut down the tree, put the wood on your back, go to town and sell the timber, sell the lumber. Work. No matter what you have to do. And the Muslim is never ever supposed to just be on an eternal vacation all the time. Just relax, sit back. There has to be some type of work. Women who don't work outside the households, we know they work inside the households. Even without a job in the home, being a mother is a full-time job. Pamper, food, cleaning, laundry, cooking. This is a full-time job. 2 kids, 3 kids, 5 kids. It's a tremendous job, right? Going outside the house and working. What heck is that? Seeking in, whatever you do, just have some type of amal. And never ever just be one who's thrown and prone to lethargy, laziness, just sitting back and chilling 24/7. That's a problem. And unfortunately, there are many things in our lifestyle, or our lifestyles, and our lives that have led us to this. And the amount of luxury and comfort that we have, from the sofa to the remote control. Back in the day, you had to get up and what? Turn the TV. Now you just what? Just laser beam right from your bed. Everyone understands? Everything is more and more and more convenient and easy. And you stop and ask yourself, how did they do it back then? How did they watch the Super Bowl? What? Back then. Was no widescreen, was no retina, was no this, was no that. So as the generations and the time advances, people just get softer and more laid back and more relaxed. And everything is much, much, much more convenient. You drive a car, they give you they give you a notice in your mirror, your blind spot. Maybe a good thing. I'm not against technology. We all use these things. But what happens when you drive a car and you don't get that beeping orange thing in your rear view mirror? Then what? You become lazy. You become laid back. All right? Instead of manually what? Looking. All right? So we have to be mindful of this, of hard work, of being lazy and having too much comfort. And of course, we're all victims of this modern dunya, starting with myself firstly. And that also should protect us and prevent us from going to the other side of extremism. And that's because 50 years ago, 100 years ago, people didn't necessarily have all of these books. And they said about those who read books and wrote things down that they were soft and lazy and stupid and lacked intelligence. So now we're going to get rid of books. So sometimes we go too extreme. Everything is on the phone. Phone does this for you, phone does that for you. Did people always have ink pens? Did they always have notepads? They didn't. So when that was invented, when they came up with that, the people that came before them what? Said the same thing about them. So we have to be mindful there's always a balance. And Allah Azza wa Jalla has made these things upon earth for what? Our usage. Allah has made these things for our usage. For us to use them and to seek help in them and through them and with them to worship Him. And that's the balanced position. But it doesn't mean that you become too laid back and you don't know how to do things the original old-fashioned way. Huh? You can't memorize a number when you have to because you just do it on your phone. You can't find the Qibla if you don't have a compass on your phone. That's a problem. You're driving on the highway, the turnpike, you're going to Delaware, and the brother doesn't know which way northeast is. So that's a what? Mushkila. The sun is high in the sky, and you don't know which direction Delaware is in. East, south, north. Where's the sun? New York. Turnpike north, turnpike south. That's a what? It's a huge problem. Wallahu alam. Moving forward. Allah surely knows best now. طيب. Next chapter says باب إباحة الأخذ لمن أعطي من غير مسألة ولا إشراف. حديث عمر رضي الله عنه قال كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يعطيني العطاء فأقول أعطه من هو أفقر إليه مني فقال خذه إذا جاءك من هذا المال شيء وأنت غير مشرف ولا سائل فخذه وما لا فلا تتبعه نفسك. It is allowed to accept what is given without begging or without being greedy. It is allowed to accept what is given without begging and without being greedy. The exact opposite. The balance, the other stone on the scale, or the weight, right? The other weight. You don't beg for things, nor does that mean that you have so much pride and humility that you won't accept a gift that someone gives you. And you didn't beg. You didn't ask, nor ishraf nafs. Hadith says, that's ishraf nafs. You're looking forward to a thing. You're sticking out your neck. You're looking forward to it. You're sticking around, standing around to get the money. You're being yourself. You're being normal. And someone says, what? Tafadal. I bought a gift for you. Here's a Apple computer for you. Everyone understand this? Everyone understand this? Everybody clear on this or not? Right, moving forward. It says that it is permissible, it is allowed to accept what is given without begging or without being greedy. And before we move forward to this chapter, we have to understand that these rulings must be understood in the light of the relationship that you have with a person. A son and a father is not like a stranger. Husband and a wife is not like a stranger. A student and a teacher is not like what? A stranger. And there are certain things which are subjective and relative. Asking to some people is begging. Begging to some people isn't asking. Can you give me some ice? Can you do me a favor? It's one thing. I ask you something. And other people, they may call that begging. So there's always going to be a level of subjective balancing. Everyone understand this? And also the relationship that you have with someone. Someone who's done you favors, you've done them favors. Everyone understand this? But we still have to be mindful of these things. But it isn't no just black and white, huh? Everybody got this? Moving forward. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Hadith 619 is narrated by Umar. May Allah be pleased with him. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings upon him, used to give me something, but I would say to him, would you give it to a poorer and more needy one than me? The Prophet ﷺ said to me, take it. For if you are given something from this property, without asking for it, or having greed for it, take it. And if not given, do not run for it. Hadith is crystal clear. You didn't begging, you're not being greedy, sticking out your neck, opening up your eyes, and it comes to you, Allah decreed you, decreed it for you, then what? Alhamdulillah. And it's not, you don't say, well, I'm not going to take the gift because Sufyan al-Thawri wouldn't take the gift. And Imam Ahmed prohibited sons from eating this. And Imam Fulan wouldn't eat this. And this tabi'i would fast 7 days consecutively. And this one heard the Quran and he passed out and he wouldn't sit down and he wouldn't drink fresh water. The sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is the constitution. You understand this? That's the constitution. The athar of the Salaf al-Salih, how they understood the hadith collectively as a whole versus one isolated issue. Rather, there's one athar of someone from the tabi'een or the Sahaba, let alone Imam Ahmad, Malik, that is in clear contradiction with the text of the Prophet ﷺ. We had to take what? The text of the Prophet. The Prophet says, do not finish the Quran in less than such and such amount of days. Imam Shafi'i used to do this, Bukhari used to do that, that's fine. But Muhammad ﷺ said, don't finish in less than such and such amount of days. Can we understand this? The Prophet ﷺ says, take the wealth, take the gift, take the money. Gold, silk, fresh meat, fresh fruit, whatever it may be. And you don't say, well, I don't want to take it because of fulan and fulan. That's a problem that's become widespread. The sunnah of the Messenger of Allah dominates all. Dominates all. Moving forward. It says here that Umar would say, O Messenger of Allah, give it to someone else who needs it more than I do. And the Prophet ﷺ, he never said, that's right, that's true, that's correct. He said, khudhu. There's nothing wrong with giving someone or giving something to someone who isn't necessarily the most needy. Who isn't necessarily the what? The most needy. Tight. Moving forward. Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, هذا الحديث فيه منقبة لعمر رضي الله عنه وبيان فضله وزهده وإيثاره والمشرف إلى الشيء هو المتطلع إليه الحريص عليه وما لا فلا تتبعه نفسك معناه ما لم يوجد فيه هذا الشرط لا تعلق النفس به أو لا تعلق النفس به واختلف العلماء في من جاءه مال هل يجب قبوله أم يندب على 3 مذاهب أو مذاهب حكاها أبو جعفر محمد بن جرير الطبري وآخرون والصحيح المشهور الذي عليه الجمهور أنه يستحب في غير عطية السلطان أما عطية السلطان فيحرمها قوم وأباها قوم وكرهها قوم وصيه أنه إن غلب الحرام فيما في يد السلطان حرمت وكذا إن أعطي أو إن أعطى من لا يستحق وإن لم يغلب الحرام فمباح إن لم يكن في القابض مانع يمنعه من استحقاق الأخذ وقال طائفة الأخذ واجب من السلطان وغيره وقال آخرون هو مندوب في عطية السلطان دون غيره والله أعلم. He says here, rahimahullah, this hadith shows us one of the virtues of Umar ibn al-Khattab, radiallahu anhu. It shows us one of the excellent merits of Umar. And it shows us his tremendous zuhd. And how he gave precedence to others. And he wasn't hungry for money and greedy for money. He wasn't a monger of the dunya. Tight. He says the scholars of Islam, they differ on this issue. Do you have to receive money or not? Do you have to take the money, or is it an option to take the money? I'll offer you $100. Do you have to take it, or is it recommended to take it? And you say, thank you, Mufti, Jazakallah khairan. Fi'l amr, command verb. Khudh, take it. Right? Let alone the wealth came to you. So he says the scholars, they differ on this. 3 madhabs, 3 views on taking and accepting a gift that's something monetary. Number 1, or he says, no, the view that no, he picks is that it's only recommended. It's recommended. As long as it isn't a gift from the ruler, the sultan, the sultan. Everyone understand this? The leader. طيب. No, he says that it's recommended to take. And you don't have to take it. The cake, right? It's recommended or obligatory. Tayyib. Bismillah. I didn't ask for it, right? It was what? It was brought to me, huh? This is a vanilla birthday cake with buttercream icing. Hadith Disciple, we just don't worry about getting you the correct knowledge, but we also give you the latest on what? Food as well. From Goya beans to cake. Nah? Fashion as well, right? Your one-stop store. Tayyib. Homemade goodness away from home. Allahu Akbar. The bait of the Muslim. Tayyib. Al-Muhim. No questions about birthdays, huh? Inshallah, is it permissible to celebrate your birthday? Al-Muhim. He says here that the correct view is that it is only recommended and not obligatory, except for the gift that comes from the ruler. The gift that comes from the ruler is a what? Separate issue of discussion. As far as the gift that comes to you from the leadership or the government, then the scholars as well, they differ on that. Now, they differ on that. Fadal? What? And next shay?
I was thinking like in terms of in America, they give food stamps and stuff.
Okay.
Does that count?
They give food stamps as far as receiving them or asking for them or
Like seeking it out.
seeking it out. Similar. Anything that you need or you don't need. Asking for it, being greedy for it versus a person just gets it. Wait, he says here, as far as the gift from the ruler, then as well, the scholars, they differ in 3 madhabs. Some say it's permissible, some say it's disliked. Right. He says, Abahaha qawmun wa kariha qawmun. 2 he mentions. Some say it's permissible, some say it's disliked. And the correct view is that it's all based off of details. Is this ruler someone who has a lot of haram? Most of his income is unlawful. Then that's an issue, that's a scenario. Or he gives someone who doesn't deserve, even though most of the income isn't haram. As long as there are no strings attached which make it haram or disliked, then it's what? Permissible to take. Does the ruler give you a gift without any strings attached? Huh? If the city of New York City says we're going to donate $50,000 into your mosque, state-of-the-art renovation, cutting-edge security system, wheelchair ramp, this type of elevator, so on and so forth, would there be any strings attached to that?
Well, they give food to massages, to churches, on the one condition you would not fulfill it.
So there has to be some type of string, huh? We write your khutbahs for you. No more freestyling.
Yeah.
Huh? Tell you.
We get the feed to the camera.
We get the what?
The feed from the camera.
The feeds from the camera. Or you can't prevent all walks of life. Shoes, no shoes, shirt, Sikh, Buddhist, Hindu, Baha'i, whatever. Everyone's what? God is love. Allah Mustaan, with the rainbow outside, right? Just give me a rainbow cake, yaqi. What's the ruling on that? Huh? Allah Mustaan. Khudhu, huh? Take it, huh? Tayyib. So he says, Atiyatul Sultan, huh? He says, فمباح إن لم يكن في القابض مانع يمنعه من استحقاق الأخذ. And others, they say that taking the gift from the ruler is mandatory. Wajib, you have to take it. If the Sultan offers you something, what? You take it. The emperor.
Okay.
Naam is long live what?
The emperor.
Tayyib, that's what they say. And others, they say, huwa mandubun, is recommended for both. A normal person, a commoner, and the actual emperor. Who knew that this was actually an issue before we even brought it up and studied it? This is what the books of fiqh and explanation of hadith do. They what? Expand and broaden your Islamic knowledge. Just as we've said before, just knowing that an issue is a level of ilm. Just knowing that it's out there. and not being oblivious to the actual mas'ala. Knowing what the ulama say is a level. What's the dalil is a level. What's the strongest view and why is a whack. Everyone understand this? And this is something that's student knowledge. You are to make familiar to yourself the masail of the ulama. What are the issues that the ulama agree on and differ on? Just knowing them and not being stunned and just blindsided by, whoa, I never even thought about it like that. Everyone understand this? Khairun, inshallah. And then obviously, of course, there are going to be other scenarios today versus yesterday with regards to the ruler. Is there a sultan today in 2019? Sultan Kebab? Sultan Food Bazaar? But is there an actual what? Sultan. Does the leader of a Muslim country or a Middle Eastern country or a North African country or in Indonesia or Malaysia, do they fall under the term Sultan? The president of this Muslim country. Sultan of Brunei. Is that a sultan? Huh? Everyone understand this? What's meant by sultan? Is the sultan synonymous to khalifa? Is it synonymous to the wali, hakim, amir? Are they synonymous terms or are they different terms? And what makes a person a legitimate Islamic ruler? And this is extremely important. And not like how some people make it like a trivial issue or a footnote or a sideshow. It's extremely important. And that is because someone being a sultan or not, a legitimate leader or not, تَتَرَتَّبُ عَلَيْهِ أَحْكَامٌ. They're rulings from Allah and His Messenger that are now placed into action. Hearing, obeying, bay'ah, jihad, etc. There are different ahkam that now come into action when a person is or isn't a sultan. The correct meaning of that. Just like a husband and a wife. It's no big deal. I married her a day after the mince or a day before. It's no biggie. There is a biggie. Is the child from halal or haram? Does she have to listen to you? Can you see her uncovered? The children, are they mahrams? وهكذا. Grandmother, mother-in-law is a huge issue. And that's because all it takes is 1 day, 1 hour, a yes or no, for there to be what? تَتَرَتَّبَ عَلَيْهِ ahkam. And these ahkam are not optional for us. These ahkam, they are a religion. تَعَبَّدَنَ اللَّهُ بِهَا. That Allah Azza wa Jal has sent down to us as worship and servitude. And that we submit to Allah through these ahkam. So it's not a small, trivial issue now. Everyone understand this? Is this the imam of the masjid or not? If he's the imam of the masjid, now there are what? Ahkam. Waiting to the iqamah, the adhan, praying behind him, not preceding him. وهكذا. Do you have wudu in your salah or not? It's ahkam that are now in play when the thing is yes or no. And it's no different than anything else. In the modern worldly life, the hypocrisy of the people today. Oh, it's no big thing. It's no issue. Don't get caught up on it. Is your name in the computer, sir? I'm sorry, it's not. I paid for my ticket. What do you mean? I have to get on this flight. I paid for it. I have my wife and my bags. Okay, sir, please calm down. We're looking for your name right now. Your name is not what? So therefore, لا تترتب عليه أحكام. There are no rulings of you must be allowed on a plane. You're given a meal on the plane. Everyone understand this? If we made a mistake, you get a refund. You get a free flight. You get an apology. I'm sorry, sir, your name is not what? Here in our system. So therefore, the ahkam of you being in that system are now what? So it's not a what? Not abadan. And same applies to your paycheck. Are you still on the job or have you been released or fired, let go, suspended? Your name is in the computer, there's now what? Ahkam. And if not, then what? There's no what? No ahkam. Everyone understand this? So it's extremely important of precision and accuracy. You can't just say, oh, what does it matter? Everyone understand this? Extremely important. And how can we live in a world and we as Muslims say politics aren't important? Politics aren't a part of the religion. Oh, that's just a masala of siyasa. Huh? What has happened to us? In which we've taken politics and placed in what? No importance in the daily life of a Muslim. And we actually read the Quran and the Sunnah, you'll find what? Politics, Hajj, this, that. So many different rulings, all based off of the what? The Islamic what? Government and leadership. So Allah al-Musta'an, what has happened to us, how we think, our perception, how we look at things. We take the percentage of a thing that's 90, and then we turn it into what? 10. Or we demonize someone who wishes to talk about it and speak about it. Like we mentioned about the hijab, right? The main wisdom of it is covering the body, preventing the fitna and the fasad, controlling the people's desires. And then a brother or a sister, they come along and say, it's from the wisdoms of hijab is what? Is to cover up. Yani, min al-hikam. فهمت؟ يعني بعض يعني from the wisdoms of hijab is to cover the physical body. You've now made a thing that was 90% into what? Problem or not? Huh? Huge or small problem? Which there's no question about that. Huh? A teaspoon of salt versus a what? Cup of salt. The dish is ruined. You understand this? It's not a small issue and it's dangerous. With the non-Muslims, as we mentioned in the khutbah, how they want to influence the proper understanding of Islam. All right, church and state. This is the deen and this is siyasa. هذا جانب وهذا ايش؟ على جانب يعني. You understand this? So we ask Allah for help, and we ask Allah for purity of philosophy, the proper understanding and the proper conceptualization and the proper perception. Sight is a thing, and perception is what? Another. You can see something, but doesn't mean you perceive it the correct way. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله صلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا وإمامنا محمد.